Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Firm, Fairness in Reporting Media. I'm Mark Merrill. We are back on track after a brief hiatus with new programs that continue to resolve, research, and restore American citizens' faith in real truth, facts, reality, and common sense. Fire hasn't died yet, folks. It's not going to either. Welcome. We start with the leftover cobwebs of the files of Jeffrey Epstein's client list. Great way to start, right? Which, according to lies from mainstream media sources, it seems nothing ever changes, even in a few weeks. But according to lies from mainstream media sources who are blaming President Trump and his Department of Justice for not revealing the people on the client list, or if this is why it's so ridiculous, folks, even if the client list doesn't exist, they say. Prove it. Oh, now the mainstream media is deciding to be investigative for a change. Go figure. Go fly a kite. Stick it where the sun doesn't shine, media. Excluding people like me in the independent media who upholds the rule of law, the Constitution, the First Amendment specifically, which talks about freedom of the press. Garbage, as far as you're concerned. So the article from Newsmax, as well as an organization, folks, that we have never touched base with, but there are many out there. But this one is called Patriot Viral News at Substack.com, and we can provide that after the program in our notes. But the Department of Justice recently published an incredibly controversial memo claiming that notorious sex trafficker Epstein had no client list of people he was blackmailing, but Epstein's own attorney, who you see right here, Alan Dershowitz, refutes that. Says there definitely was a client list. Mr. Dershowitz, who at one point was accused himself of being on the list, revealed several months ago that he's seen the client list and knows exactly who was on it. The attorney was speaking on the Sean Spicer show of Newsmax when he said, "This is not an opinion, this is a fact." Mr. Dershowitz says, "I know for a fact that documents are being suppressed." Well, takes the wind out of those sails, doesn't it? Media, mass morons, or our favorite phrase for them and moniker, the left-wing nut radicals. So Mr. Trump, President Trump, just demanded a full investigation into all of this. Seeing why the deep state is interrogating the president, but at the same time, nothing's coming to the surface. Pam Bondi, his attorney general, Trump's attorney general, has been saying for weeks, it's on her desk and they're looking into it. What's the matter? Can't wait, media? You're the ones who always keep covering things up. Never want to speak the truth. Reality, common sense. No, you just keep wanting to sweep it under the rug. Russiagate. All phony. Yet Hillary Clinton gets away with testifying before Congress way back there, and even put James Comey, former FBI director, under the bus, but gladly accepted the tire tracks right up his ass. That while she was going to, or did, erase emails, 3,000 or plus of them, on her private server in her home in upstate New York. Oh, I don't see any problems here, says Comey. But we digress. Mr. Dershowitz says he believes and knows for a fact that these client lists and this information is suppressed to protect individuals. He says he knows the names of the individuals. He says he knows why they're being suppressed, and he knows who is suppressing them, said Mr. Dershowitz. This was on July 15th. But I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge in cases and can't disclose what I know. See that? Kind of clear things up, media? He's under law that he can't reveal things due to confidentiality reasons of a dead man. Oh. We want to get into a side note, folks, of, whether Mr. Epstein took his own life or those who were on that list got really, really nervous, hired some outside clowns, goons, in the corrections division of the jail he was being held in to take him out so they'd never get out. I'd take a page out of Hillary Clinton's book, didn't we? Yeah, think about that one for a minute. You can go look it up, folks. But as we continue on firm here, folks, our journal is about Epstein's attorney and knowing what's on his list, Jeffrey Epstein, but also the media loses in the long run. We'll get to that one in a moment. But Mr. Dershowitz says, I hand to God, I know the names of the people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them, and that's wrong. No kidding. Really, that's wrong. Someone's getting spiritual and all of a sudden deep down honest. I have opinions about Mr. Dershowitz, folks, but I'm not going to reveal them. They're not pertinent here. Mr. Spicer, the interviewer from Newsmax, followed up by asking Mr. Dershowitz about the kinds of names on the list. Are these politicians, business leaders, both? They're everything. Dershowitz replied, suggesting that as many of us have suspected, the list is being buried to protect the most rich and powerful people in the world. The fact that Epstein's own attorney is admitting the list exists may be Attorney General Pam Bondi and the DOJ should realize this isn't going away that easily. The good news? Oh, yeah, there's good news about this, folks. There may be some voices inside the Department of Justice who are fighting to get the truth out after all, following reports that FBI Director Dan Bongino had a dispute with Bondi over the handling of the case files, but that's been reconciled, folks. He's back. We don't need to go there, folks. It's not necessary. Media wants to, though. They want to know everything about all the dirt. The dirt. Most of the dirt that they created. Going back how far? Oh, gee, let me think. Got a couple of seconds here. How about as far back as the assassination plot against Abraham Lincoln? That far enough back for you? Morons? Yeah, I'm talking to you, ass-wipe media. One way or another, according to the writers of the Patriot Viral, the truth will come out. And right now, folks, we have an excerpt of the video of Mr. Dershowitz talking to Mr. Spicer. See what you think.
What she
that's that, folks, when it comes to the Epstein files and Mr. Dershowitz being his attorney. Stay tuned for that one. As we go into the next story, though, folks, dealing with, of course, the Epstein files and Mr. Dershowitz, we go on next to some better news for all of the United States. It's called free speech, or the way it should have been brought anyway. The most recent article you may hear, or announcement, we should say, from the Trump administration is about NPR and PBS being defunded. Finally got around to getting that one done. Hey, you know, it's only July of 2025. Mr. Trump has only been at this a little over 6 months. But what it says in more detail, folks, is an article written by Blaze Media's Joseph McKinnon and Rebecca Zelchko back on July 18th. Congress passed the first rescission package in over 2 decades, giving Mr. Trump a major win and cutting off liberal propaganda outfits, NPR and PBS, as you can see right here. The call to defund the liberal networks goes back at least as far as the Nixon administration. Back on May 1st, Mr. Trump ordered the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to cut off the liberal propaganda networks, noting that both the Americans, citizens, have the right to expect that if their tax dollars fund public broadcasting at all, they fund only fair, accurate, unbiased, and nonpartisan news coverage, and that no media outlet has constitutional rights to taxpayer subsidies. Washington has a spending problem. We have to start making cuts. Is that right? Deep state morons. Left-wing radical elitists. By the way, folks, you know that the 1%, there are only 1 to 3% of the population are the left-wing radical elitists in this country? LGBTQ. These former news organizations. That includes Maine's PBS, MPBN, Maine Public Broadcasting Network. Bye. See ya. One 1%. Conservatives have also been calling for defunding NPR and PBS for decades. Mr. Trump did it in 6 months. As I was just mentioning, but not only that, the package cuts billions in wasteful foreign aid that's been spent on projects including $4 million for sedentary migrants in Colombia, $643,000 for LGBTQI and programs in the Western Balkans. Where the heck is that? Does anybody know? Someone get me a world map. $833,000 for transgender people, sex workers, and their clients and sexual networks in Nepal. Isn't that appalling? And there's a laundry list here, folks, that goes on and on and on and on and on. The Trump administration is committed to putting America first and restoring fiscal sanity, said an OMB official. The rescissions package is a huge step in the right direction. Russell Vought, director of the U.S. Office of Management and Budget, which is what stands for OMB, told Steve Bannon's War Room that the pending passage of the rescissions package and the defunding of CPB in particular would be a historic victory. After all, it's the first successful presidentially proposed rescissions package fiscal year 1999. since the last century. The Senate, folks, voted 51-48 on Trump's requested cuts. Hours after Senate Majority Leader John Thune of South Dakota emphasized that reining in waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government is a priority shared by President Trump and by Senate Republicans. And those of us at Firm here, folks, couldn't be happier. About time. Now, going into our final note here, folks, our topic, we should say, on Firm. There's relief. More relief, we should say, for citizens in our country. And our last topic in our journals is from the ACLJ. You may see him there better in a little adjustment of our camera today. Jay Sekulow, the president and founder of the American Center for Law and Justice. You can see in big, bold letters and words, not one more inch for the radical left. What does that mean? Basically, ladies and gentlemen, this summer, the ACLJ is responding in force to increasing liberal attacks on your values, tackling critical cases and issues at a fever pitch. The ACLJ is in court as the last line of defense, fighting to protect your constitutional liberties. The ACLJ is defending 3 pastors in their criminal trial who were arrested for preaching on the sidewalk in Chicago, but they broke no laws. They're defending a pro-life advocate in Illinois, threatened with criminal charges for simply exercising his First Amendment freedom, even though he followed all local laws. Oh, did the new liberal mayor have a problem with that? Because he was a Christian? By any chance? The ACLJ is also investigating 4 New Mexico abortion facilities that perform abortions past 23 weeks of gestation and even up to birth. An appalling practice raising grave moral, medical, and legal concerns. President Biden. Hold on to your seats for this one, folks. Biden instructed military trainees that pro-life Americans were domestic terrorists and should be watched. ACLJ is urging Secretary of State Pete Hegseth, Secretary of the Army Daniel Driscoll, and others to hold those responsible and accountable for these horrible accusations that don't have any backing or basis. Sekulow says the kind of twisted anti-life ideology has no place in America's military, and we won't stop until it's rooted out. And one more, folks. ACLJ is engaged in a massive media campaign against the radical abortion lobby of Massachusetts. The organization has launched a significant initiative, unprecedented in the scope of it, against Massachusetts to counter its defamation campaign aimed at attacking pro-life pregnancy resource centers. We have a little bit of that problem here in the state of Maine, folks. We have a pro-life center right in the center of Kennebec County called Resolve Life Center, constantly attacked by Maine Behavioral Health and an LGBTQ spring-off or offspring called Grandmothers for Reproductive Rights. Protest them at least twice a week. So anything you can do to contact them and to support their cause, right here, folks. We've highlighted it for you. aclj.org. That's aclj.org. That's Jay Sekulow himself right here. We hope you'll do so as soon as possible. As we conclude the program, folks, A little bit of changes with Firm, Fairness in Reporting Media, as you see our new logo up above. Soon we'll be promoting that on our vehicle around Central Maine, but right now we are moving on with distributing our podcasts, but staying with YouTube, Twitter, or X.com. And also, you can contact us still anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, by email, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. As always, Mark Merrill, your host for Firm. Everyone out there, have wonderful vacations during our summer months. Stay safe. Peace to all.